This is a DVD presentation by Peterson Machinery of a 200-ton Hannifin straightening press designed and built for straightening pipe and solid bars. The press is 40 feet long and will straighten up to 10 inches in diameter. It's a traveling head or gantry type machine. The gantry will move the length of the machine, and there are pressing cradles or load cradles that will take the load. It can be rolled back and forth on the bed. And then there is the lift cradles or positioning cradles for lifting the pipe and then rotating to the desired position. And there's safeguarding for the wheels, pinch points. So there's safety labels, and then there's the plexiglass guards to protect for pinch points on wheels, for the pipe rotating. And none of the safety labels should be covered up or removed. They should always be visible. And the plexiglass guards, if they're broken or damaged, should be replaced to protect for operation of the machine. We'll now show the loading of the pipe and then the operation of the machine. So we're going to roll the pipe up to the pressing head or gantry. We have the pipe about 1.5 feet away from the gantry with the pressing head, and with the power disconnect on, emergency stops reset, we'll move the gantry head over the pipe. So the pendant control can be removed from the holder, and the operator should stand several feet away from the machine to avoid any pinching hazards as the frame is moved over the pipe. Once the pressing head or gantry is far enough over the pipe, the pressing cradles and the lift cradle can be rolled in. So with both positioning cradles in place under the pipe, they can then be lifted up with the air valve. And then from that point, there's no longer needed to have a crane or any lifting device. So with then the crane or hoists out of the way, the pipe can be rolled on the positioning cradles back and forth to the needed position on the beam. And if, because of the weight or size of the pipe, it cannot be rolled by hand, then the assist can be operated pressing cradles can be positioned according to what's necessary for straightening the pipe. And with this rotating device, the pipe can be rotated to the right orientation for straightening. And then once the pipe is on the load or pressing cradles, the positioning cradles can be moved out of the way on both ends to allow for straightening. Now we would be ready to straighten the pipe. So with the emergency stops reset on both the pendant and the control box, push the start button for the hydraulics. Then on the pendant, you can select either up or down. a safe distance back from the head frame or gantry to avoid any pinching or getting caught in the machine. And also that if there's anybody else assisting in the operation, that they are in view of the operator, so the operator can see them, make sure there's no hazards, moving the head, positioning the pipe. Cradle can roll back in. Lifted. As you can see here, the cylinder was not retracted all the way, and so then with the lift cradle lifting the pipe up, the cylinder is in the way. So that needs to always be retracted all the way when repositioning the pipe. Back down. Also, it's necessary to reposition the cradles, the pressing cradles. That can be done. That is the instructions for operating the machine. We'll show next the unloading of the pipe. Once the straightening is done, the hydraulics can be turned off by pushing either the emergency stop here or the stop on the pendant. But then the emergency emergency stop needs to be reset to be able to move the pressing head or gantry. So for the unloading process, then the positioning or lift cradles will be brought in under the pipe, and the pipe will be lifted. So with both lift cradles in place, the pipe can then be raised. The pipe can be loaded on the machine from either side of the gantry frame. It's preferable to load on the right side. From the operator's side would be the right side, to prevent damage to the electrical box or hydraulics. So here we're going to set the pipe on the back on the pressing cradles. So the lift cradles, the lift cradle and the pressing cradle on the right end of the machine be moved out of the way. And then the head frame or gantry would be moved to the extreme end of the travel. operator to be several feet back. So right there, we're up against the end stop. And from that point, the pipe can be lifted with a crane or whatever's usually being used for loading and unloading the pipe. And it's clear, the pipe is clear of the head frame or gantry, and so there's not any damage to the electrical box or the hydraulic tank or controls. Then for the shutdown procedures would be to have the emergency stops depressed and the disconnect on the electrical box would be off. And the last of the shutdown procedures would be turning off the air. There should be a air shutoff valve installed. That way someone couldn't just flip the air valve when the machine is off. And that is the end of the shutdown procedures. Some of the features of the machine, there's the pressure gauge to register the pressure that will show how much load is being put on the pipe or bar. And the lift cradles or positioning cradles are an airbag lift. So to lift, the valve would be put to the up position, the pipe will be raised, and then it can be returned to the neutral. If it needs to be adjusted, it can be lowered to whatever position is necessary. And then with the crank, the pipe can be rotated to whatever orientation is necessary for straightening. These can also be positioned anywhere on the press frame. There's an assist that can be used for heavy or large pipe. And then for different sizes of pipe, there are aluminum cradles that can be set in place. There's one for each of the pressing cradles as well as for the cylinder ram. And these can be, there's 3 different sizes that can be removed for different size pipe. There's different lengths of bolts that are supplied with the machine for each different cradle piece. Those must be kept with the machine. The safety labels are positioned in different places to notify the operator of hazards, keeping hands away from the pressing area, and notice of the ram coming down, of pinch points, and then also the labels do not operate without guards, must be visible. And then the stand clear of moving machine for the head frame or gantry moving back and forth. One other hazardous area or pinch point would be right here where the center rib and the beam is, with the guard or the whole head frame moving past. If someone was to put their fingers in there, they would get pinched. So that is a big concern, to make sure there's no one around the head or gantry frame when it's moving on the beam. So, and also to make sure that there's no parts, steel, or objects caught in here that would get pinched or it would cause the frame to stop.